Hey guys, welcome to a new kind of platform that I'm going to be doing. I'm trying to do weekly podcast episodes. And basically, I'm going to just jump right into it. What we're going to be covering today, we're going to be covering a few different things. We're going to give you guys kind of an update in terms of like my training and what I'm looking to do, not just on the mats, but also off the mats. We're going to get into a live roll narration as well. We're going to talk about what's going on in the world of Reddit and some discussions topics I think is really good and very interesting, possibly controversial. I would love to hear your takes. And then we're going to jump into a big event, CJI. What's going on? The rules have just been released. What does that look like? We're going to be diving into that. So without further ado, let's jump into it. The first thing that I'm going to be doing in terms of my training, I want to kind of tackle a new approach. So not sure if you guys are too familiar with what I do for a living. I'm a software engineer and teacher. And so I want to leverage technology. I want to leverage AI, and I want ChatGPT to be my coach. So I'm debating on whether or not I should be competing in the upcoming. There's a NAGA near me in November, and I'm debating on whether or not I should do that. I've never competed before, and so I kind of want to push myself. But at the same time, I want ChatGPT to be in charge of kind of like my training camp, if you will. And it to organize it and just see my performance over time. So these role narrations that we're going to be going through, they're going to be very specific on what it is that I'm looking to improve on, and hopefully you guys will be able to improve on certain things as well and learn from these experiences, and hopefully even teach me some concepts or maybe suggest some videos for me to watch and to improve as well. We all can improve together. This is the thing I love about, jujitsu, is the community that we have here. And so, all right, my training, what it's going to look like, basically, I train 3 times a week. Sometimes I get in on a fourth day. My main training days are Sunday, Mondays, and Wednesdays. Sometimes I get in on Friday mornings, maybe possibly evenings, but that's more rare than common. So, basically what the schedule that ChatGPT outlined for me is going to consist of here. Sundays are open mats at my gym, and they're going to be focused on progressive drilling and sparring with a very focus. For me, the focus of this month is going to be open guard, and specifically from supine position, so my back on the mat. And the progression or progressive drilling is going to look like, first stage will be my training partner knows no jujitsu, so I'm just practicing the move. The person's not gonna stop me. They're just letting me do the move. The second stage is the person knows a little bit of jujitsu. They're gonna kind of like stop me a little bit. They're gonna slow me down, but the goal is still for me to win. And then the final stage is the person is gonna, like, we're gonna keep progressing the intensity. We're gonna keep like uptaking it to the point where the person is really trying to stop me from doing the move. And ideally, that person, my training partner's defense for the move, should be pretty good at that point, right? So we're both learning in this situation. So that's Sunday, and we're gonna do some light rounds as well on Sunday. Monday is usually a shorter day because I teach all levels no-gi class at 7:30. There is an advanced no-gi class at 6. And so the roles are from 7 to 7:30, and I want to be very focused on those roles. So we're just gonna do really just positionals, open guard positionals. Uh, on Monday, Tuesday, it's gonna be a rest session where I'm gonna be analyzing my footage on Mondays and basically seeing my takeaways and what I can improve. Wednesdays, I will be going in and I will be focusing on the strategies that basically I planned from watching the videos on last Tuesday, like the Tuesday following, right? And so just trying to like, put myself in those situations. Also on Wednesdays, I have a little bit more time on the mats than I would on Mondays. So that way I can drill a little bit more in those difficult situations that I found myself in. And then I have Thursday, Friday, and Saturday to really rest my body, and to really recover and analyze. On Thursdays, I'm going to be analyzing the rolls that I did on Wednesday, and then game planning for Friday and Saturday is going to be game planning for the drills or the techniques or concepts that I'm going to be focusing on for Sunday. And then we're going to rinse and repeat. So that's what ChatGPT came up with. We also have some cardio, which we're going to be doing every day. Is going to be a light run in the mornings for 20 to 30 minutes. A 20 to 30 minute light run. We're going to have a body weight routine exercises. So we're going to do, the goal is for 50 push-ups a day, 30 squats a day, and 30 pull-ups a day. I have a son who loves to climb on my back, so he makes those a little bit more challenging. So maybe when he's climbing, maybe we're going to drop those to like 25. It's like a whole extra like 30 pounds on my back, which makes it just a little bit more intense. So that's my schedule, and that's what we're going to be doing. Again, the focus is going to be on open guard, guard retention, entering into leg locks, taking the back, whatever the case may be. Just focusing on guard and not trying to have my guard pass, but also not being lackadaisical. I find myself being very lazy in the guard, and I think that's because I don't have really a game plan for what it is that I'm looking to do from the guard. So I wonder if you guys identify with that. Like, do you have a situation where you feel like, I don't know what I'm doing here, so you kind of just chill and not do much and wait on your opponent? Is that more of you being strategical? Because that's what I used to tell myself. Or is that more of like, I don't really know what to do here, or I don't have a game plan on something that I should be working on from here, and so therefore it's a little bit delayed? Is that just me? Or are you like that as well? Anywho, without further ado, let's jump into the roll narration for today. So today, we're going to be focusing again on guard, and somebody who gives me a lot of pressure in the gym. He gives me a lot of kind of a hard time, honestly, is Collins. And so I want to do a roll narration with our roll, and we can get into the pros and cons and also some of the mistakes that I made or possibly Collins made. Collins, a purple belt. He's been on the channel. We did a video with him as well. But his guard pressure, he's somebody who makes me really tired of playing guard at the end, regardless if he passes or not. I'm tired. So I think this would be a good one. Let's get into it. Ask me if this is okay. You guys are probably hearing double sound. Let me mute this sound over here. So, okay. So, slap bump. They kind of stole our spot over here, but it's all good. We're gonna come off the camera a few times, but here we go. We're jockeying for position. I get this, trying to go like a Ashigarami, but he stops it. So I'll go X guard and kind of just takes his back off of like a kind of, I'm not sure exactly what Collins was doing there. Maybe we could rewind that a little bit. Let's see. So I lift him in the air. His leg slips. I was trying to do like kind of like a bear trap, but his leg gets like, he just lets it go all the way. So I just come up and take his back. And from here, I look a little bit aggressive. I'm going for smothers because Colin has my leg. He has my left leg in this really awkward position. So my angle is really off. So I'm going for a smother. I'm just trying to throw him off, affect his breathing anyway. By the way, I really like Collins. this is why I do the smother. It's because I'm really cool with him. He's okay with it. He's not gonna get an attitude. I'm trying to do a rotolotine here. I'm trying to set it up. Obviously I'm failing. Part of it is, as you can see, he's trapping my leg here. He has my leg shelved, which makes my angle really weird, but also I felt really uncomfortable with my knee in this type of position. Even though I locked my feet, it's just because even though he has me trapped, I have him trapped too. So as you can see, he's peeling the hook here. He's trying to peel the hook off. I go for a trap, but then my leg never had this hip really locked down, as you can see. So I think I have his leg trapped, but I never had his hips trapped. His arm, sorry. And then we come up and I just tried to jump on his back, which I'm way too high, so I'm gonna end up falling off. And so I do want to pause for a second, and I want to show you what I was trying to do. Here's a rotolotine. This is what I was actually going for.
All right, you guys, going over one of my favorite chokes. It's like a mix between the arm triangle and the darts in a way. People are calling it the rotolotine. I don't really like to call it that too much. But anyways, anytime you're on your opponent's back, a lot of different ways to set it up, but especially here. Anytime your opponent's eyes are kind of fixated down below, which is almost all the time from here. You're going to go ahead and take that bottom arm, right? You can't hear that's on bottom. And you're going to go ahead and shoot it almost like a punch, right past your opponent's ear. Boom. Yes. Right? Everyone has this bone, the sharp part of their bone. You want to get that right past the neck.
That's where
you're going to go ahead and grab your bicep, rear naked choke grip. But now to finish the choke, all I'm doing is I'm retracting my lat, pulling my elbow back to where it came from. See that here, now pulling that elbow back. That's the finish. Let's also climb the back from there. One of the most highest successful times I hit this, or the most highest success rate, is when they're trying to build back to their feet. And they're here, they're trying to get back to their feet. And go ahead, bring in your hooks, pull that elbow.
You can see right on the ground. It's a similar setup to where we were. However, I just am not good enough to finish it. Let's continue with the roll though. Okay, so now Colin's like, how dare you take my back? It's time for him to get some revenge. And here comes the pressure for the most part. So he steps into my guard. I'm looking for his leg. He instantly pulls it back so I can't get any grips on his leg. He starts to do a weave pass. I'm trying to get frames. I'm trying to get my space back. I'm trying to control his wrist at the same time, and just kind of keep some distance. He's just working. He has concave like shoulders forward. His posture is really good. So it's just really hard to get his legs. You see how far back they are, and the pressure, he's just like adding a whole bunch of pressure onto my shins. At this point, I should be looking to, like, honestly, I really don't know. I shouldn't be in this position to begin with. I should have never accepted this. So I'm going to start playing a little bit of octopus guard because he's way too close. So he sits down beautifully to start working a pass. Here we kind of go off camera, but we're gonna reset because we're super close to the wall. And we should reset here. Yeah, there we go. We're gonna go off the camera one more time and then we'll reset again. So here we go. I get an initial grip on his ankle. He strips that grip like he should. And I got a 2-on-1 on his arm. I'm looking to start to off balance him. My goal in this roll was really to start doing back attacks. So I was looking to kind of just take his back. I make mistakes by straightening my legs, and he just like starts climbing on top of him. I get one out to try to do the kind of like this reverse half guard. It's not necessarily anything really good. I learned this in the seminar. To stop your back from being taken, you kind of have like, you put this arm in between here and you make sure that your palm is facing you. It makes it incredibly difficult for them to take your back. He's going to have to also, he's worried about controlling my hands. He's putting a lot of weight into my arm, and he's looking to be able to grab this arm here to kind of like pin me down. So that's why I have it angled out to make it pretty difficult for him to reach for it. And I'm just basically monitoring where his weight is to see if I don't have any overhooks or anything, so I can't really sweep him. So I'm just being very lazy. I, I think this is probably like the fourth or fifth round for both of us. And so here we go, and just following with my legs, just tracking. I'm looking to put him in a clamp guard position. Brian Glick or John Danaher talks about this position a lot. And so also like Williams guard, or even a shoulder pin from like Neil Manison. He's really good at that as well. And here, I believe we're just gonna ride out the round up to here, and nothing significant is really gonna happen here. Yeah. So that's our roll with Collins. It was a very, very, for me, it was a lot of pressure that I was facing in this role. I enjoyed it, but there are things that I definitely need to work on, and not letting him get so close to me, to be able to affect me in that way at all. And the next thing I wanted us to really focus on, and it's going to be really interesting, we have some topics from Reddit that we really want to be able to like start going over. And one of these topics is, I'm going to throw it up on the screen real quick here so we can see it together. Wrestle if you're able to. Wrestling is fundamental to jiu-jitsu. It builds insane fighters and leverage. I'm not sure if that's what he meant, but if you're able to wrestle, please do. After I began wrestling, my abilities improved drastically. I'll continue wrestling in the fall, and while it may affect time at jiu-jitsu, it would greatly help in the long run. Try to find a school near you. If you're in high school, college, join the team/club. I 100,000% agree with this. But also, I should say, I do think wrestling will make you way better of a grappler. It's proven. We have a guy in the gym, Kyle, and like as a white belt, he's like passing it almost everybody's guards, and because he wrestled since he was like 4 or in kindergarten or something like that. And his dude is just, he's a problem. He's a problem. And so wrestling is perfect. However, I just don't want to. Like, I do everything to not wrestle, because for me, I'm very lazy. I'm very, very lazy, and I like the fact that there's a game in jiu-jitsu for lazy people like me, who want to preserve as much energy as I humanly can. And I find that whenever I personally wrestle, I expend a lot more energy, and it might be because I'm not doing it the correct way. It might be because I'm not efficient in it, or it just could be my gas tank just sucks. And that's something that I'm going to work on improving, because doing things like octopus guard is technically kind of like wrestling. So, and when I did learn that, it drastically improved everything. So, I guess probably I'm talking myself into wrestling more. But it is much easier to leg lock wrestlers because of their base. But anytime anybody's giving you upper body, like, is actually pulling away their upper body, you have their legs wide available. So that's something. But obviously wrestlers never focus on like submissions. It's just mostly on pins. So yeah, we have another topic here, and I think this one is more controversial. Is let's throw this up on the screen real quick. This is like an older post. It says, is BJJ drifting too far from its roots? And basically, these are the 4 points that he's talking about. Can't do takedowns, can't defend self in a fight outside of class. Went to MMA classes and couldn't do much with his jiu-jitsu, and it's becoming more insular, just pertaining to itself. It has nothing. It doesn't add any basic components of other sports inside of jiu-jitsu, where for me, when I'm looking at this, I see stuff, and I think jiu-jitsu is all embodying at this point in time. Like when you look at ADCC, the the ones who are winning again, it's grappling. It's a grappling tournament. So this person's probably talking about like more of like, yeah, let's look at UFC 1 as an example, right? When you really compare at that time, like there weren't any other people doing grappling at that time unless they were a wrestler entering into that UFC tournament. So if you have pure grappling and not many people knew about jujitsu, they didn't know about like jujitsu was really designed for a smaller guy to beat a bigger guy on the ground, not standing. So I don't really think that it's drifting far from its roots at all. I think it's actually um going deeper into its roots and expanding and getting better because a lot of jiu-jitsu athletes are actually incorporating takedowns. And so that's kind of weird. That just shows that that person didn't take any takedown classes or wrestling classes. Like for example, my jiu-jitsu gym, we offer a judo class and a wrestling class. So they're there in the jiu-jitsu gym. It's not like you have to go too far. Now if you want to train more often, then of course you have to like find specific schools for those. Can't defend yourself in a fight outside of class. Well, I mean, it just depends on the scenario, right? If like what's the environment that you're in? Are you in a car? Are you in like on a street? Are you in some grass? Like where are you? Are you next to a whole bunch of different like tables and stuff? Like is there things restricting your movement? But there's a whole bunch of videos out there that show like even if you have sport jujitsu, like and you're just going on like ashiguramis, you're going on like hill hooks, like even those have been very effective on the street. I wouldn't recommend it, but I mean it's there. Like jujitsu for the most part, any ligament tear that you do is gonna do damage to the individual. Any choke that you put out is gonna do damage, and it's much better that you know that than you don't. It's just a matter of if your opponent knows jujitsu or not. Because if they know jujitsu, then of course it's gonna like nullify a lot of the things. Whereas in the past, people didn't know jujitsu, so it was highly effective, like 99.999% of the time against their opponent because their opponent didn't know anything, right? And so of course you go to an MMA class, mixed martial arts class, you're not going to be able to do much with your jiu-jitsu because they know jiu-jitsu and Muay Thai and all the other stuff that he's like kind of arguing about. Whereas the first UFC, they didn't have MMA as a thing for that. It was like martial arts, like the discipline of each one: karate, taekwondo, jiu-jitsu, wrestling, whatever your like base is. That was the fight. So I couldn't disagree more with this post. And I would say something probably very aggressive. Now I think that competitive purple belts nowadays, or you know, I definitely think competitive purple belts nowadays would beat probably the black belts. Oh, they're gonna hate me in the 90s. I just think that the amount of information that's out there, the amount of techniques that are out there, the mix with wrestling, um, the science that is involved with a recovery for those who are actually taking it seriously and eating and um, everything that's been out there. There's no reason why a competitive purple belt, not me, because I'm not a competitive purple belt, but a competitive one like J Rod, for example, there's no reason why he couldn't beat a black belt 25 years ago, right? If you put them both like bing bing, the purple belt today is gonna win. Probably get some heel hook or put them in some weird truck position. We saw what happened with Hoist, Gracie, and Eddie Bravo, right? Eddie had his whole like funky system, and it just threw off his whole entire game. And he didn't just beat him once; he beat him twice on a rematch. Like, and he was able to study, like he was able to see Eddie's stuff. And Eddie, well, technically he didn't lose, but Eddie had him in a vaporizer, like destroying his legs. So, yeah. Let's get into our next topic. I'm curious to know what you guys think about that, though, as well. Let's get into our next topic. We have here this person is a beginner. Is this the reality of BJJ, or is it just a small percent of it? This person has said that they're scared to do BJJ because they keep seeing posts about people getting hurt during spars, I guess during rolling. In competition, people are getting their ligaments torn apart. Then they're not able to compete anymore. And this person is kind of scared to continue because, they don't want to get injured terribly, and they want to be able to walk pain free. And so, what I would say to this is definitely a beginner question. And yes, it's jiu-jitsu. I like to say jiu-jitsu is an extreme sport. It's an extreme sport, right? Like, what are we practicing? We're practicing putting people unconscious. We're practicing being able to isolate and break limbs, bones, or tendons, ligaments. We're practicing that. And if you don't know you are in danger in a certain position, and you don't make that you don't tap, or you don't let your training partner is not aware that you don't know that, it's very possible for you to get hurt in certain situations. So if you're somebody who's very scared, I would recommend rolling with upper belts. Roll with a purple belt, roll with a brown belt, roll with black belts, right? If you're a white belt, maybe trying to avoid some of the white belts sometimes, right? Because they're gonna probably look at you as like food, and try to do some of the new moves, and they're a little bit more spazzy. But for the most part, upper belts, whenever I'm rolling with a white belt, I just let them get whatever positions that they want, unless I'm focusing on something in particular. But for the most part, I just let them like work and just challenge whatever the move of the day was, and try to get them to do that and have a good time in jiu-jitsu. Because what's the joy of just like smashing them over and over and over and over and over and over, right? That's silly. Now, doing it to a blue belt, that's another thing. Beating up a blue belt is another thing. That's more fun. Or a purple belt, brown belt. Obviously, a colored belt is way more fun to have those matches with. But yes, you can get injured. It's definitely a possibility. Terribly injured, I think it's highly unlikely that you're going to get terribly injured. It is possible you can have some bulging discs come out. There are things that you can do to prep in advance. But your number one thing should always be safety for yourself, right? Protect yourself. Don't let people put you in like bad positions, and tap early, right? That's the quickest way that you can do. If you're stuck in a position and you don't know how to get out of it, just tap, right? And if you're rolling with upper belts and you tap in a position that you shouldn't have tapped to, right? You just aren't aware of the position, they'll let you go. And they'll also let you know that, hey, that's not really a position that you're really in danger, right? So you can still work from that position, and then that's how you learn. But always prioritize your own safety, and that way you're going to be less likely to get hurt. I've been doing it for 9 years. I've been popped with toe holds before where I haven't had really time to tap. So mostly ankles got popped most of the time. I had one apple lock where my hip got popped. Things happen. But you keep it rolling. For the most part, it's not like I wasn't able to walk on those things. So it's fine for me. For your level, like ultimately, why are you doing jiu-jitsu? Is jiu-jitsu, what's the benefit for you? If for me to be able to have all the intangibles that it brings to my life, I'm okay with something getting popped. I'm okay with that. I'm fine living my life. I'm okay with a ligament getting torn. I'm okay with that. Right now, how badly, I don't know, but I'm okay with occasional pops here and there. But if you're just getting into jiu-jitsu and you don't know what those intangibles will bring to you, then definitely protect yourself over that. But I would definitely say try it, like keep going, right? Learn more. Maybe sit out on some rolls. Don't roll all the time. Maybe just roll 2 or 3 times a day. You don't need to go into you're extremely tired, because maybe after the 6th round or the 5th round, that's where the injury risk is gonna tick up a little bit, because you're a little bit tired, and now you're like overcompensating in some other way, and something can happen that way. So be very safe. I would say be very safe in that regard. And let's get into it. So the final thing that we wanted to talk about today is the Craig Jones Invitational. I think a lot of people have heard about this. If you haven't heard about this, like, where are you living under a rock? If you're in jiu-jitsu and you're in the jiu-jitsu world and you haven't heard about the Craig Jones Invitational, huh? Come on, guys. So it's $1 million. I'm a little bit confused, honestly. I think it's $1 million for those who are competing under the 80 kilograms division, and then $1 million for those who are competing above the 80 kilograms division. And then there's like some super fights as well. Yeah, it's very interesting. So it's basically 2 divisions, and there's a $50,000 gift for the submission of the night. So there's going to be a lot of people gunning for like really crazy submissions, but also I've asked my like jiu-jitsu community, would you let an arm or a leg or something break for the opportunity to win $1 million? Let's say you're up, because we're gonna look into the rules, and let's look into the rules here. All right, let's look into the rules. Okay. So we have the rules here. So there's gonna be 3 5-minute rounds. Actually, you guys know I told you guys that I'm all about using ChatGPT and whatnot. So I actually had ChatGPT summarize the rule set that we have here. Let me get it in 1 second. Just make it a little bit easier. Here we go. Just throw that whole thing on the screen. Where is it? Oh my goodness, where is it? I just had it here and it's not. All right, here it is. So here's the summary of the rules. There are 3 5-minute rounds with 1 minute rest in between. They're going to be scored in a 10-point system similar to MMA. And the finals are going to feature 5 5-minute rounds with a potential 5-minute overtime. The scoring criteria is going to be the judges prioritizing initiating action, close submissions, dynamic actions, and positional control. Legal techniques, basically just about every submission is allowed. You just can't like do that, basically. And if you couldn't see me, it's just basically close the windpipe with your hands of your opponent. They have can openers, full Nelsons, and you can slam out of submissions except spiking, obviously on the person's head, which would be way too dangerous, right? And this was given, all of these rules were actually given by Brandon right here. I'm not sure how to say his last name, to be honest. And he's going to be one of the commentators for the event. So the video is about that he gave going over the rules is about 2 hours long. So you can go through that if you want. But yeah, I mean, imagine a match where it's going to be possibly 28-28. And or yeah. Well, I guess if it's the final round, right? So like 28-28, final round, and you get put in an armbar. Are you willing to potentially have your arm break for the opportunity to make $1 million? Or, you get put in a heel hook. Are you willing to let that pop for opportunity to win $1 million? And or would you pop someone or break their arm for $1 million? How would you even game plan that strategy, right? Would you say, like, I'm not even going to bother going for joint submissions because the opponent most likely isn't going to just eat it? Or do you go for, like, I'm going to go for as many joint submissions as possible and then go for, a rear naked choke or choke the person out? Do you plan for chokes, or do you go like the diabolical way and like break the person up and then go for the choke? What would you do? I'm super curious. But that was the podcast. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Like, subscribe. Let me know how you guys feel about it. I'll be catching you guys next week with updates on the rules. Until then, take it easy.